Hey y'all, what's going on? This is Jesse Both of the 19th hole, and I'm here to talk about the upcoming tournament. This is going to be a guide for the Pro Expert division. We already did the Rookie division, so if you haven't caught that yet, definitely check out my YouTube channel and catch that if you are in the Rookie division. This is for the upcoming Festive Cup tournament, which starts on Monday. This tournament will take place on the City Park holes. Those holes have been used before in previous tournaments. We had the New York Classic, the Voyager tournament, and then also last year's Christmas tournament used these holes as well. The way they're going to be played in this tournament is going to be similar to what they were played in the Christmas tournament, with the snow along the sides of the fairways and stuff like that. So basically what we're going to do here today is we're going to talk about each of the holes 1 through 9. We're going to talk about different ways to play each hole. We'll talk about the clubs you can use, the balls that I suggest, and any kind of like elevation changes that you should be aware of before tackling this course. I will say one thing: the elevation changes won't be that great or that big on this this course. Somewhere between 5–10% on different shots, but nothing like big or crazy like we experienced in the last tournament. So let's go ahead and get started with this. We're going to go to hole number 1. So we got hole number 1 here. Hole number 1 is a par 3. And for the shot off the tee box, I would play with a plus 10% adjustment off the tee box. For this shot, no matter which way you play it, there are several different ways you can play this shot. You can play a shot off the middle part of the front of the green. And you can also play a shot more off the fairway to the left of that. And you can also play a shot to the right side of the green, like right there. Let's first talk about the shot for the middle of the green. That shot right there will most likely be played with some sort of a wood. I would definitely suggest the Guardian for that shot. And if you're going to play that shot, you're going to play it with probably a lot of backspin, probably pretty much max backspin for that shot. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be kind of aiming that second bounce really close to the hole, hopefully getting yourself a good bounce and maybe getting the ace with that shot right there. And that's being played with the wood. Suggestedly, the Guardian would be the wood that I would suggest for that shot. Now, if you're going to play your shot from the left-hand side, you can play your shot from the left-hand side. And I would play that shot most likely with your long iron. That's probably going to be the club that we will use. And I would suggest something like 4 to 5 bars of backspin for that shot. What you want to do is roll that ball, bounce it onto the green, and then roll it to the hole. Just use that backspin and then kind of adjust the landing spot on that fairway to find that really good path to the hole for the shot. The only other option on this hole is possibly a shot to this right side, where you're going to take a shot up to the edge of this ridge, land it there, and then roll it back towards the hole. And that would be done with a club like maybe the Saturn with a lot of backspin. You definitely want a club with at least probably 6 bars of backspin and at least 5 bars of left spin. So that would where your ball would come into play for that shot. If you are playing the shot to the right, you want to use a ball with spin. But if you're not going to play a shot to the right, if you're going to play that shot to the center or to the left, you can use a ball with less spin, maybe like a Navigator or something like that in the Pro, and then maybe bump that up, to a little bit better of a ball for the Expert. So do keep in mind this is Pro and Expert. So sometimes the type of ball that you want to use between the two divisions will vary some. For the most part, in Expert, most people will use Kingmakers for a good majority of their round, except for on these par 3s. Then sometimes they will use, like a wind ball where you knock down the wind speed. But in the Pro, you can get away with using like Quasars and Navigators and stuff like that and be okay. If you have the better balls like the Titans and the Kingmakers, feel free to use those as well. But, they're not necessary to be able to compete in the Pro. But when you start getting into Expert with better winds, then you definitely do need to consider using those better balls to give yourself, the leg up to be able to compete in that bracket. So that's hole number 1. We'll go ahead and move on to hole number 2 now. Hole 2. And hole number 2 is a par 4. Off this tee box, I would definitely say go with a 10% adjustment for the wind. And the way you're going to play this hole, is you're really trying to get your ball up into this zone right here, which most likely means your ball will land somewhere in there off the second shot. Bounce over that, land it right about there, and then roll to your final destination, hopefully. The way I would play this hole, most likely a Titan or a Kingmaker. For the ball, I would use an Extra Mile or a Thor. You can use the Apocalypse if you have that as well. That will work. And for your second shot, you want to have a club with some distance. So I would suggest probably the Big Dog, but if you have upper level Sniper and an upper level Guardian, you can possibly use that if you're able to get your drive far enough down that fairway to put you in range of those two clubs. If you're unsure on that at first, I would definitely suggest going with the Big Dog until you realize, you can kind of test those waters out. We'll see what kind of a wind we get for that second shot. If we get a really nice tailwind for that second shot, that will open up the possibilities to use, other woods besides just like the Big Dog or even the Cataclysm possibly. So we'll just have to wait and see. If you go to my YouTube site, there is a video from the New York series where I actually do show how to use the power hook shot on this course. And with a power hook shot, you're looking to land your shot somewhere in there. Your power hook comes out to the side there, comes back, hits, and then rolls up the fairway to that resting zone right there. You do want to be careful. I will say this: the fairway does slope from right to left, so you do want to be careful on your drive for sure. And you do want to, actually, my bad, it slopes from left to right. My bad, it slopes left to right. So when you're taking your drive, you want to set up that leftward drive shot with, definitely about 3 to 4 bars of topspin. You don't want to use too much topspin because you do roll through possibly into that bunker or rough. You don't want to do that. And you do want to use a couple bars of left spin and a little bit of curl as well to kind of counteract, that lean. So yes, the fairway does slope from left to right. So you'll use that left spin and left curl to kind of counteract that on the drive. So for your second shot, you're taking your second shot here. You're going to be landing your second shot somewhere right there at the end of that fairway. Now, when we get to this green right here, there is a patch of fairway on the other side of that bunker, but before the green. And that is a fairly steep sloping area of fairway. What you want to do is you want to actually land your shot about midway up that fairway. Okay, that's where you really want to land that second bounce. The first bounce will be on the fairway. The second bounce will be over the bunker on that little upslope fairway. And what you want to do there is you want to use somewhere around 2-ish bars of topspin to give that ball just enough energy to get over that hill and then roll toward the hole. You can use left spin to try to guide that ball towards the hole a little bit better. But definitely make sure that you have that shot lined up correctly where that second hop does hit somewhere in the middle of that fairway area just in front of the green, because it is a steep sloping fairway. Just keep in mind you don't want to use any kind of backspin or anything like that on that shot, because if you do come out short, your ball will roll back down that fairway and into the rough or the bunker area right there. So you definitely don't want that. That's not a very fun chip to try to be making to save a birdie, because keep in mind this is a par 4. So that long shot is for eagle. So we're putting ourselves into position for birdie. So you don't want that birdie to turn into a par by doing something stupid. So all right. All right, so our next hole here is hole number 3. And hole number 3 is a par 5. There we go. Hole 3, par 5. Off the tee box, we're playing a 10% adjustment for the wind. It is downhill for the first shot off the tee box. I would say go with some sort of a Titan ball, because you want a power ball. Or you can use a Kingmaker as well for this shot. You just have to see what you need depending on the clubs that you have and the shot that you want to try to make. For the pro, most likely you're going to be laying your shot up right there. A large majority of expert players will be doing the same thing. It is possible that we may get some sort of a tailwind that gives us the ability to, actually bounce our shot there and jump over to the next fairway. In order to do that, though, you've really got to have a really good tailwind. You got to have a driver with probably at least 6 bars of topspin. So if you don't have that and we don't get the wind, then it won't matter, and we won't know that until Monday. So, you will also need to use a really good ball like a Berserker, a Globe, maybe even a Turbo ball to even make that possible. So, but it's definitely something to keep in the back of your mind, especially if you are an expert player and you do have those clubs to be able to make that shot. So, all right. So for the majority of us that are playing the pro and the expert, our play is going to be laying up the shot here at the edge of this fairway. And to do that, what you're going to do is, you're not going to use a whole lot of topspin. You're going to use maybe 1 bar of topspin, if that. You could use a Thor. I would say to use a club with a lot of accuracy and ball guide. You maybe even use something like the Rock or the quarterback for that shot right there, just for that extra security for that shot, because you don't want to roll through that fairway. That would definitely be bad news if that happened. If you end up in that rough or that bunker, that is really bad news. So, not more than a bar of topspin for that shot right there. And for your second shot, you're going to want a club with some distance. So most likely the big dog will be your way to go. What you're trying to do is you're trying to land that shot somewhere up in here. And with topspin and right spin, you want to try to get that ball over here to this right side of the fairway, as far to the right side as possible without going into the rough. And the reason why you want to do that is because you want to set up that third shot for as straight on of a shot to the green and that hole as possible. The tricky part is, depending on what kind of wind we get, may make it a little bit more difficult. You also don't want to use too much topspin because you don't want to roll into this bunker area right there. So definitely keep that in mind when you're playing that second shot. For that second shot, I would say somewhere between 2 to 3 bars of topspin, and then you want to use your side spin. If you don't want to go for that, that shot towards the right, just change your side spin to you end up more of a shot more towards the middle of that fairway to play it safe. But the riskier you get, if you can pull off that shot, the better third shot that you'll have to the green for the possible eagle. Yep, I said it, a possible eagle. So we've already got several holes on this course that we're going to be playing for birdies and really trying for the eagles, which is kind of a change from past tournaments that we've had recently. And it'll be good for the game. I think we'll have some scores that are a little bit more in line with what we expect. 26, 27 unders, winning goals and stuff like that. We'll have to wait and see. All right, so for your third shot now, you'll either be taking your third shot with a long iron or a short iron, depending on where you get on that fairway for your second shot. Your shot to the green, you'll be landing it off the front area of this green right here. And the two choices that you have are to go straight at the hole with a couple bars of backspin. That would be the shot where you use your Thorn or your Hornet, use that 2 or 3 bars of backspin and just kind of roll out that shot to the hole. If you don't have a good angle for that shot, though, with either of those clubs, you can use the back of the green. It's got a fairly decent slope on the back of the green, so you could roll your shot up the green. If we can get this here, up the green and then back down towards the hole. It's a possible shot. It's definitely possible to make that shot, going into the hole that way as well. I've done it in the past, so I definitely know it's possible. But definitely, you got to be very, careful and pay attention to the amount of speed that your ball will have coming off that slope. So, all right, make sure I don't have anything else to tell you all for this shot. We talked about the drive off the tee where we jumped over the rough and we made it to the second fairway. If you're able to do that, you do want to have a wood with a good amount of backspin in your bag, so definitely keep that in mind. I'm not even sure that this will even be a possible shot to make because we don't know what kind of wind we'll have, but if you do, definitely make sure that you have some sort of a wood with a good amount of backspin for that second shot to the green. Most likely, higher levels of expert players or Masters level players will be the only people that have a chance to make that shot, because they will have the clubs and the ball necessary for that shot. But you never know. We'll have to wait and see. All right, next hole here is hole number 4, and it's a par 3. And this is actually one of my favorite par 3s that I've had in a long time. I don't know. The last tournament we had a few par 3s that I really liked. And but this one right here is definitely a par 3 that's a lot of fun as well. We play it with a plus 10%. And, you know, I would say go with a Goliath or a Guardian. And we'll talk about the possible sniper shot in just a few minutes. But first, we're going to talk about the Goliath and the Guardian shot. So, if you're going to use the Goliath, you're going to be taking your shot off this front fairway area right there, okay? That's the Goliath right there. If you're going to be playing the Guardian shot, you're going to be taking the Guardian shot off the front of the green right there. So first, we'll talk about the Goliath shot. You can use any kind of a wind ball. I like using the Navigator for this shot. I used the Navigator for this shot last time. And the way you would play that shot with the Navigator is in the case of a tailwind, about 1.5 bars of topspin and 2 bars of left spin. In the case of a headwind, you're going to raise that up 1 bar of topspin. So instead of 1.5, you go with 2.5 bars of topspin. And that's the way that you would play that shot. The way I aimed my shot is, if you look in the green, there's squares. You see the dark colored squares and the light colored squares. And they'll run in a vertical pattern on this green. There's usually, in the last tournament, it was a dark square that basically ran straight through the hole and all the way down to the bottom of the green. I played my line, my ball guide, on the right edge of that dark green square. That's how I lined up my shot for the hole. And then I used that 2 bars of left spin to hit, bounce, and then roll it up to the green. So basically, my ball was bouncing somewhere in there, and then rolling up to the green. And I got an ace with it that way. Playing it that way. The other option is to play the shot with the Guardian with a really large amount of backspin, and with that you'll be hopping that ball on the front of the hole, front of the green, and then you'll be either backspinning into the hole or just falling into the hole on like the second or the third bounce. Now, if you're going to play that shot with the Guardian, if you have a tailwind, you're going to use your max amount of backspin for that shot. If you have a headwind, you're not going to use quite max. You'll maybe take off a bar or two of that spin, to compensate for that change in wind. Now, what we're going to talk about now is the rough bump. This is the shot that I used in the Voyager tournament, and I had about 5 aces, at least 5 aces between pro and expert. And this was a shot that I could use in both of those divisions. Now, it is semi-dependent on the type of wind that we got. Last tournament in expert, we had more of a headwind that was facing about 8 a.m. And in pro, we had a tailwind that was facing about 1 p.m. And what that allowed me to do is that allowed me to line up my shot this way and that way. So it wasn't a whole lot of danger on that shot, as long as you knew how to line it up. There wasn't a whole lot of danger of flying the shot and hitting the green and then bouncing way over, or laying it up short, into that bunker. So as long as you knew how to adjust the shot, you were pretty guaranteed to be in a decent position for at least a birdie putt if you missed it. But we're going to talk about that shot. Basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to land that shot somewhere in this zone right there, in that rough area right there. Now, the way we played it last time was 5 bars of left spin and 1 bar of backspin. And basically what that did is that ball bumped off the rough onto the green and then rolled to the hole. If you go back and watch some of my videos from the Voyager tournament, you can see how I played that shot and played it pretty successfully. On my weekend round in the pro, I just barely missed the ace, and then on my expert round, I did get the ace on that shot. So definitely go back and check that out, the Voyager weekend double feature, if you want to see those 2 shots performed. Definitely would be worth your time if you want to get the ace on this hole, pending the type of wind that we get for the tournament. So that is how you would play that shot. I played that with you know, a wind ball that helped reduce the wind greatly on that shot as well. So that's also something to think about if you want to play that shot. And playing this shot up there, I did not play the plus 10%. I played it just flat, you know, no elevation change for that shot. You just have to determine if it's a max, mid, or min level shot, and then adjust your ball win numbers from there. That's the only adjustment that I made, whether it was max, min, or mid. But I did not play an additional elevation change. Now, if you play your shot off that bottom level, right down here with like the Goliath, then yeah, you're going to play the plus 10% on that shot. All right. Next hole we have here is hole number 5. And hole number 5 is a par 4. All right, so this actually is I like this hole. There may be some people that don't, but it's a very good chance at an eagle. This is a course where you really got to make your shots to get your eagles. If you don't make your shots, you're going to end up with a lot of birdies. If you can zero in these shots and get these eagles, though, you have a really good chance to get gold in this tournament. So plus 10% off the tee box. Y'all seen a pattern here? Plus 10% off the tee box. I would say go with a Kingmaker, a Titan ball, or you can go with a Katana ball even on this hole. I would definitely make sure to not go cheap on this hole. At least a Titan or Kingmaker would be my suggestion in the pro and the expert. As far as your clubs go, you know, any kind of driver, you can go with the Extra Mile, the Thor, the Apocalypse. As far as your long iron and short iron go, you know, you have that choice between the Thorn or the Hornet. This is one of those holes where you can use either. This may be a good one to use that Hornet on, but it kind of becomes a personal preference thing in the end. And then also, you know, you got the Backbone and you got the Goliath, or the, you know, most likely you're going to be using the Hornet or the Thorn, I would guess, though, for this shot. So if you're going to play your shot to the right here, which would be somewhere in this zone right here, you'll be playing that shot with max topspin. And I don't always play this shot with max left spin, because I want to make sure that this shot, I don't hit those trees. So, you know, sometimes it may be a good idea to move this landing position back a little bit, you know, where you see the arc of the ball, you know, flatten out a little bit and avoid, you know, hitting those trees as it goes by that tree. So, you know, sometimes I just add a little bit less left spin to try to keep that line a little bit to the right side of that tree line. But you can always move your landing zone back a little bit to flatten out that hop and avoid the tree that way as well. The other way to play this hole is from the left side, where you will be landing your shot somewhere in here. And you'll be getting up into this zone right here. Playing that shot right there, you will play with about 4 to 5 bars of topspin and max right spin. You possibly will have to be using some curl on that shot as well, depending on the wind. Now, for our second shot to the green, from either of these places, it doesn't matter which place we're coming from, we're looking to land somewhere in the front part of that green right there. And I like to play that shot with about 2 to 3 bars of backspin. I play it, you know, depending on the wind that we're going to get, a little bit of spin one way or the other. And then I like to aim that shot at the edge of the cup. So, you know, if I put a dab of, see how I want to say this. If I put a dab of right spin on the shot, I'm going to aim it at the right-hand edge. If I put a dab of left-hand spin, and when I say dab, I mean just a little tiny bit, I'm going to put it on the left edge. So the last tournament was left edge. The New York Classic was right edge. So it switched sides, if I recall correctly. So, all right. Let's see. Anything else to say about this shot? Now, in the strange reason, I don't know if it'll happen. It probably won't happen. But for some strange reason, we get like a really crazy headwind off the tee box. You know, we may need to land our shot somewhere in this zone right here. You know, just always keep it in mind. We may need to land our shot somewhere in that zone right there. And more of that type of shot. And then from there, you know, we'll have to be taking a second shot over the water, using that rough to kind of use a rough bump there with the sniper. So that's definitely a possibility. I like to try to go over all the different route possibilities with you all. So if we get a crazy headwind off the tee box, we will have to play it short, and then your best play from there is a second shot sniper rough bump towards the hole. So just keep that in mind. Keep that stored in the back of your mind. Most likely we'll not need that information, but just in case you do, then you can say, oh yeah, J-Bone was talking about that possible sniper rough bump. So there we go. All right, moving on. We got hole number 6, and hole number 6 is a par 5. For this par 5, we're going to play plus 20% adjustment off the tee box. It is a fairly severe downhill shot off the tee box. I would suggest, I like playing with the Thor. You can use the extra mile though, and you can use the Apocalypse if you have the Apocalypse as well. As far as your second club, for your second shot, you're going to be needing like the Big Dog or the Cataclysm, possibly the Guardian if you have it leveled up high enough. And I would definitely say use a good ball. Titan ball, Kingmaker ball, one of those two. If you got a power 4 ball, you can maybe splurge on a power 4 ball just to give yourself that extra power to get to the green on that second shot. So definitely think about that. Now, the way I play this shot is I play this shot off this pad right here. It's an elevated pad, so your shot will go to the elevated pad. Make sure that you do play that 20% because I do see people fly over top of that pad and really mess themselves up. So make sure you adjust for the wind on that shot. Give yourself a little bit of room from the edge of that pad. Don't do anything crazy. From there, you're going to use full top spin, and actually you're going to use some right spin because you will see what I mean when I say, you have to, straighten out your ball guide. Just remember, the right spin straightens out your ball guide. You land it somewhere in here. Hopefully you get a good roll. The farther you get up that fairway, the better. So keep that in mind. The farther up the fairway you get, the better. And the only other way that I've seen people play this hole is I have seen people play the shot off the tee box where they land it somewhere in there. And then they use a lot of top spin. They'll bounce it there. They'll bounce it back here. And then they'll roll down off that cliff through the rough and hopefully stay in the fairway right there. If you can figure that shot out, your second shot to the green is going to be easy peasy. But there's definitely the possibility of getting stuck in that rough or roll through the fairway into that rough, and then that will just, mess you up for your second shot. So it's definitely one of those risk-reward shots. For me, it's too much of a risk to try, but it's still a possibility, so it's there, and I'll leave that decision up to you. So from this back shot right here, last time we had a tailwind, so we ended up aiming our shot right about there, and actually landing a little bit farther up, and we'd actually use backspin to stop our ball on the green. So if we get the same type of tailwind again, that second shot will be the same. You'll use a couple bars of backspin with your Big Dog or your higher level Guardian or your Cataclysm to get that ball to just jump over the bunker right here and land on the fringe of the green and roll hopefully to the hole. Definitely a possible albatross. I had several times last time we had this hole in the tournament where I very nearly got the albatross, so it's definitely a possibility when you're playing this hole. If we do have some sort of a headwind or a crazy side wind, our best bet may be to bounce our shot somewhere in here over the kind of cliff area, the cliff rocks area. Try to get our shot up to the right edge of that green, and then just chip it in from there. Do keep in mind that that chip right there is an uphill chip, so you got to be able to put a little bit of topspin on your shot to make sure that that ball gets to the hole. So extend that ball guide a little bit through the hole, just like you do on an uphill putt. You got to put a little bit extra power on it. So definitely don't underpower that shot and come up short. That would definitely not be something that you want to do for this hole. Keep in mind that the second shot to the green is a -5, so it is actually an uphill shot to the green for that second shot. So even from this zone right here or this zone right here, you will be adding an additional, you will be subtracting 5%. Okay, so it's really not a whole lot of an adjustment right there, but it is a little bit of an adjustment, especially in the expert. If you get a higher level wind, then it will be enough an adjustment to affect your ring adjustment for sure. All right. All right, well, I'm ready to move on to the next hole. Let's see, hole number 7. And hole 7 is a par 4. This one right here is plus 10% adjustment off the tee box. I would say go with either the Kingmaker or a Katana ball for this shot. You do want that extra left spin for this drive for sure. Your drivers, Store, Apocalypse, Extra Mile, all three of those will work just the way that you're going to use them, maybe a little bit differently. The way I like to play this shot is I like to land my shot somewhere in that zone right there. Okay, combined with top spin and left spin, you'll be bouncing over that rough. You'll be landing your ball about there and then rolling out to somewhere in that zone of the fairway. That's what you really want to do, is roll that ball out to there. 4 to 5 bars of top spin, maximum amount of left spin, and then curl depending on the type of wind that you get. If we get a tailwind, you know, there'll be some curl to the left. Depending on the type of tailwind that you have. If you have a left to right tailwind, you definitely need more curl to get that ball left. If you have a right to left tailwind, you know, you won't need quite as much curl to achieve that ball to the left position. If we have a right to left, you know, kind of more of a side wind, you definitely need a little bit of curl. But if we have a left to right, kind of more of a side wind, then we'll definitely need a lot of curl. We'll probably need max curl for that shot. So definitely keep that in mind for Monday when we see what kind of wind we get for that shot. All right, so in my opinion, that's really the only way to play this hole. If we do for some reason get some sort of a headwind off this tee box, you know, the shot would be to lay it up somewhere in this zone right here off the tee pad. But I really don't see that happening. From there, we'd be using like the Big Dog or the Cataclysm to take a shot, you know, with some curl, you know, laying it somewhere in there and bouncing up to the pad that way. But I don't see that. I don't see that occurring. I'm pretty sure we'll get some sort of a nice little tailwind for this hole. But you never know what Playdemic has in store for us. So for our second shot right here, you know, I like to have, you know, either the Sniper or the Guardian for this second shot. You land your shot somewhere in there, over the bunker, land it on the green, and roll it to the hole that way. Sniper or Guardian works pretty good on this hole for that shot. I would say somewhere between 1 to 3 bars of backspin, and the amount of backspin that you will use on that shot will depend on the wind. If you have more of a headwind, you'll use, or side wind, you'll use a little bit more backspin. If you have, a little less backspin. If you have more of a tailwind at your back, then you'll use more backspin. I think I had a tailwind and I used 3 bars of backspin in the last tournament. It came pretty close to holing that out for an eagle. That's right, holding it out for an eagle. There's not going to be a whole lot of easy gimme eagles in this tournament, so get used to it. You're gonna have to earn those eagles this tournament, and I'm sure that'll make some people very happy. All right, let's move on. We got hole number 8 here, par 3. I really like this hole, and I'm going to be using the Guardian on this hole. Yes, I said I really like this hole, and I mentioned the word Guardian in the same sentence. Yes, the Guardian is the best shot at this hole. I would say go with some sort of a wind ball, Navigator, Kingmaker, power wind ball, you know, that a power, you know, 5 wind ball or something like that, that really knocks that wind down for this shot. I would say a plus 10% adjustment on this shot. Some people will play not much of an adjustment at all. I just say go with the plus 10% because it is a downhill shot. It is downhill. It's definitely noticeably downhill. You'll be landing your ball somewhere here on the front area of this green. And you will use max backspin and probably a couple, 1 to 2 bars of right spin. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be bouncing there. Your ball is going to hop up to this area right here. And then from there, it's going to trickle back down to the hole. That is where, you know, it's a very sloped green. The green slopes that way, okay? So keep that in mind. It is a sloping green. So that will help take that ball from that top peak back down towards the hole. And that's honestly the only shot that I would recommend for this hole. There is another shot that people do play where they jump the ball off this ridge right here. You know, this would probably be, I would guess, more of like a Goliath or something like that. I don't think you'd be using a wood club here. Depend on the direction of the wind, I guess, is what club you'd end up using. But from there, you know, you're just using a little bit of topspin to skip it down off that ridge, hit the green, and then from there you'll get, you know, somewhat the same type of a roll that you're going to get on the first shot. You're going to go up the hill and then use that hill and slope to take it back down towards the hole. In my opinion, it's a much more dangerous shot and a tricky shot to figure out. I personally would say don't even care about that shot. I would say go with the guardian shot to the green. I would say that's your money shot. That is definitely your money shot. Got a few aces with it last time. So yeah, it's the money shot. It's the shot I'll be using for sure. And I'd assume most streamers that you see will be using that shot as well. All right, we got hole number 9. And this is a par 5. What's up?
Daddy.
Come here. You want to say hi to this camera? Come say hi to the camera. Come tell everybody Merry Christmas. Come here. Come say Merry Christmas.
Let me wear your hat.
Oh, you want to wear the hat? Okay.
Yeah.
Put your hat on. All right. There you go. All right, now come on here. And tell everybody Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year.
This is my son, Liam. And how old are you, Liam?
6.
And what grade are you in?
1st grade.
All right. Good job. All right. I'm almost done. Can you go back downstairs for a few
Daddy,
minutes?
when is Mama gonna get home?
She'll be home soon.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, Dada.
All right. So we got one hole left to do. Let's go ahead and get it done. All right, y'all. Sorry about that, but I'm back now. Hit the wrong button. Accidentally deleted the last part of the video. So here we are. Take 2. We're going to just do this hole number 9. Let's go ahead and talk about it and finish this up. Off the tee box, I like to use the Kingmaker ball. You could use a Titan ball as well. You could use a Katana ball even if you wanted to. The most important thing is that side spin for this shot. As far as clubs go, you can use anywhere from the Thor, Extra Mile, Apocalypse. I like to use a driver with a little bit of curl for the shot. And off the tee box, we're going to play a plus 5% adjustment. I think you can get away without playing an adjustment here, but I like the adjustment, kind of like a little bit extra of a safety valve, you know, a built-in safety feature for the shot to give us just a little bit extra room for the shot. When I go to set up my shot, I like to set up my shot right here along the edge of the rough line. I will use a 1 ring buffer to that rough just to kind of give me that safety feature, kind of that great proof shot. I can still hit a great right shot and still make the shot happen. One thing I would like to point out is when you are aiming your shot, you like to aim your shot with your ball guide kind of lined up just to the right side of the right edge of that bunker. That way you have a very consistent aiming spot and landing zone for your ball each time you play this hole. That's very important, is having a consistent way to play this hole. And a consistent way to play this hole equal consistent results. So I would say 3.5 top spin, max right spin. I like to use anywhere from a half to a full ball of right curl for this shot, and that may change depending on what kind of wind that we get. Basically what you're taking is your shot on this hole is out there like this. You're going to bounce over this little rough line right here. You'll hit about right there. I use that right spin to take us down into the end area of that fairway. If you can get down there, you're sitting in a really good spot for your second shot. We're talking sniper, guardian type shot territory. If you're not able to get quite that far down and you find that you're not getting that far down, then you may want to just be a little bit more safe than sorry. Guardian, a little bit extra distance in the Viper, or even your big dog, just to be really safe, or Cataclysm if you have that leveled up. For your second shot, you will be using a minus 10% because this is an uphill shot. You'll be landing it on this little pad right here. It's a raised pad. Your ball will bounce down towards the green this way. A bounce there and roll to the hole. If you have a tailwind, you'll use somewhere like 3 to 4 bars of backspin for that second shot. If you have a headwind, somewhere between about 2 bars of backspin for that shot. So your spins does change depending on what kind of wind that you do have. The other way you can play this hole is more of a safe way, which is to this left side right here. I would not recommend this way, but it is definitely a possibility. if we have a really crazy wind and you just don't feel comfortable trying to make that tee shot to the right alleyway, then you play it to the left. From here, though, you will have a very difficult second shot to the green, where you'll have to take a club with a lot of power and either try to land it here and bounce over, or go straight to that pad as well and try to bounce over that way, which may require some part of like an overpower shot or something like that. But that's what you're looking at if you go to that left side. That's why I would definitely suggest very strongly to get that shot down to the right side and give yourself a shot at the albatross. This is a tournament where you're not going to see a total crazy amount of really good scores. So that last extra stroke at the end of this round may be what determines the gold medal. It would not surprise me to hear some people say, "Yep, I hit that albatross in that last hole and I won that gold medal." It just would not surprise me at all. So, not a whole lot left to say about this hole. 3.5 top spin, max right spin, some curl for that drive. I like to aim the ball guide up the right-hand edge of that bunker. I like to give myself one ring of clearance, where the ball is going to land, plus 5% on the drive. You add all those things together. Sounds like a lot of different factors, but you add them all together, you actually get a very consistent shot. I found that, over the tournaments playing this hole, I play it that way, and it's been a very consistent shot for me. Even when you hit it great right, you're still okay. Even when you hit great left, you should still be okay. As long as you have that shot set up correctly, it should be, pretty consistently good for you. So that's all we got to talk about here today. Thank you all for your time. Sorry for the technical difficulties at the end, but we got this done, and we got the weekend coming up to practice, and then things get kicked off on Monday for qualifying. So good luck to you all. Thank you all for your time, and thank you all for your support of the stream and channel. Y'all have a good night and have a good weekend. God bless.